All right, guys, so this is Wednesday, and weekend's going to be coming up here in a couple of days. So I just looked at the weather forecast, and it looks like there's a 20% chance of rain for Saturday, 10% chance Sunday, which doesn't really mean anything. It could change at the last minute. One thing I'm going to do for my weekend project is get back on the 55 two-door post project that the subscriber Randy donated to the channel. I have not touched that car in a month, at least a month, maybe a month and a week now. I don't even know. But since the last video was posted of that car, I haven't touched it since. And anyway, it's just been sitting out in my front yard. And obviously my wife's not too happy with it sitting out there. She would like for both of these 55s that's in the front yard to be moved. So I've kind of formulated a new idea. Since Steve's car is so close to being done, it's going to be leaving pretty soon. And if I can put my wife's 55 four-door body in the garage with my 55 when his car's gone. So that's one of them out of the front yard, and then that leaves the two-door post. Now I do have room right now to put one car in there with a little bit of work in that fenced area. I can get one of the cars in there. And I almost can put two cars in there with a little bit of work. So I'm kind of thinking I have two avenues to go this weekend. I ain't quite sure what I'm going to do yet. So I kind of need a very expensive pair of pieces for the two-door post to do what I'm thinking. But I may get started on that. But anyway, I'll run you through what I'm thinking about doing. So I think I have 4 videos total on this two-door post project car. Now this is a two-door car. I have just put on a 4-door quarter panel and a 4-door door skin, and it's not finished yet. But the quarter panel that was on the car was really messed up, so there was no fixing it. So I removed it, and this is how I'm going to save money. I still have to fab all this stuff and put a rocker and all that on it, which I already have here. Now, this car, it needs some extensive metal work, man. It needs a lot of work. The trunk floor in the car is not too bad. It just, back here the ends are rotted away on both sides, which is common on these cars. And the tail pan right here is rusty, but the tail pan on the 4-door parts car is really nice. So I'm just going to drill the spot welds out and cut it loose, and I'm going to use the tail pan from the 4-door in here. But what I need is the rear 10 or 11 inch section that they sell aftermarket of the trunk floor, which will include all this tray back here and all that. But I also need the brace that goes underneath back here, and that's what, the support for the body mount bolts. The whole ends are gone off of it on both ends. And I found those on eBay, and they were like 336 bucks for the pair with free shipping. So anyway, if I had those, what I would go ahead and do is I would go ahead and take the body off the frame and put those two pieces in back here. And then I've got a brand new set of urethane energy suspension body mounts here already, so I could go ahead and bolt the car down to the chassis at that point. So all this would be replaced back here, and it'd have its support back in it. And the car's pretty rusty. Some of the support braces are pretty rusted away up here, but it still has its forward mounts up here. So that will basically support the front and the rear of the car. But anyway, here is my idea. Since it's a pain in the butt to have a project car that does not run and drive, or it's not movable. Like if that car started and run, I could drive it behind my house, and I have an area back there I call my bullpen. I can put a car in there, but I can't push that car all the way around my house and back and get it parallel parked up in there by hand pushing it. I could if I had a couple other people and a whole lot of effort, but if I ever got the notion to bring it around front and work on it again like as a weekend project, it would be a lot of effort to get it back around here. So the idea I have in my head, after Steve's car leaves, or continue on as weekend projects until then, but after his leaves, I think I'm going to spend the next couple of weeks after his car's gone and try to get this car to where it will run, drive, and move. Now, that's not going to be painting parts and making, restoring stuff and making it nice. This is just to make it drive. It doesn't need the deck lid. It doesn't need the front clip. I'm talking about setting an engine and transmission in there and hand wiring the starting, charging, and ignition system on it. And I'm just going to do the stock brake system. I have a bunch of new parts and used parts here that I can put all together. Will make a complete brake system. And I don't care if it has a little seep or a drip here and there on the brakes. It's just going to be driven in the yard. I'm not putting this car together for it to be road safe and road legal to go down the highway. This is just something that will drive around in my yard, so I can literally drive it around behind my house and park it, and then when I want to work on it, I can drive it back around here. Or if I have to mow, I can pull it out, mow, and then pull the car back in. It'd make it so much nicer. And there's a whole bunch of metal work that can be done on the car with it still running, you know, being able to run. So I think it'd be fantastic to do that. Now, I had stated that as soon as Steve's car left, I was going to pull my wife's car in and start working on it. So, and that is the case. I can actually put her car in the garage, but I think I'm going to go ahead and spend a couple weeks, 3 weeks or whatever, just to get that car, this two-door post to move. And it's not going to be that difficult because I'm not painting nothing. I'm just bolting old crappy parts on and calling it a day. Now, if only it went together that easy, you know what I mean? I know it's going to be a challenge, but I've done it before. It'll be simple. I've done the same thing to my wife's 55 four-door when it came here. Rebuilt the carburetor, changed the oil, you know, did all the brake system on it, cut all the old wiring out, and I hand wired up. I think I hand wired that. I don't remember now. Oh well. But anyway, the plan is just to make the car to where it moves under its own power, not road legal. All I need is first gear and reverse. That's it. So anyway, that is the plan. What I need to do first off is change the chassis, because this chassis been up and beat up and it's bent, and I don't want to mess with it. The one from the four-door is really nice, and the only thing left on the four-door is the quarter panels and the trunk floor. All the rest of the car's cut off. The roof's cut off. The whole forward section's cut off. It's just like this very rear section's all that's left without a roof. So I think I took these bolts out of it. I don't remember, but well, let's just find out, I guess. Anyway, I have a few body mount bolts to take out, and they're most likely going to break off anyway. So this is pretty much all that's left of that. Now, I had set the cowl back on here. It's just setting on here, and I actually crudely screwed in a plate there just to hold the rocker up, but the rocker, all this, and the cowl's separated, which I can lift this back off. But this chassis underneath this car is very, very nice. It's mint. It's never had any trauma. Very, very nice shape, so I'm going to use it. Anyway, I'll get to. So the main reason why I'm talking about changing the chassis right now, which is why I need that rear support piece put in the body, I'm not using this chassis, and I have to put a cross member kit in here because I'm putting side engine mounts and a cross member to put the small block 350 in there. So I don't want to do all that stuff to this and then have to take it off this chassis and put it on the other chassis later. I would rather go ahead, get that chassis out and set it up with the engine and trans so everything will bolt in, and then just go ahead and change it out, because changing the frames on these cars is very simple. So the gas tank's already out of it, the emergency brake stuff's out of it. All I got to pull is the steering box out of it because the shaft's one piece that goes up to the column. But what I'm talking about, putting it together where it moves, it doesn't even need the front clip on it. I'm talking about just setting an engine and trans in it, bolting the drive shaft in it, hooking up the brake stuff, putting a master cylinder on it, hooking it to the pedal, and hand wiring the starter, the charging system, and the ignition, and where it'll start on the key and run. And that's it. I mean, I don't care about not having any interior in it or nothing. I don't need to put the column in it because these are one-piece shaft coming out of the box. The steering wheel's sitting on there. I can steer it like that. So I've got the battery box. I can bolt back on here to set the battery in there. So it's just a, you know, as long as I'm not taking it on the highway, it'll be just fine. And I'm not doing any body work or anything to the car. But at that point, it can run and drive in my yard under its own power. And I think that's cool. But this frame is just not going to cut it. So anyway, if I had these rear pieces back here, I would go ahead and do the swap. But $336 to spend at one time is pretty tough, you know what I mean? So might have to just save up for that. I'd almost put it on the credit card, but I think when my wife seen the statement, she'd probably crap a turkey, you know what I mean? So I'm not going to do that. But the other thing about it is, if I get an engine and transient and it actually runs and moves, you know, I can put the quarter glass back in it, and I can put a door glass in it, all the other glass is in it. And of course I can put 4 bolts in it, set a deck lid on it. It doesn't need to latch as long as it pulls down. But I could go ahead and put all the parts for this car inside of it, and it would move, you know. As it stands, I can't fill it full of all the parts because I have to push it, and that's just going to make it heavier with all the parts in it. But if it runs under its own power, I could do that. Just pack it full of its parts. I think that's a pretty cool idea. And I know a lot of you guys are wanting to see me get back on my wife's 4-door, and I am too, but at the end of the day, I've got a car here that I've got enough crap here, used carburetor, used distributor. I've even got some old spark plug wires and some spark plugs. I've got enough stuff to cobble it together, and I'm just going to leave it open header. I'm bolting fender well headers on it and calling it a day. So I'm not putting, you know, a whole lot of effort in it. It's just going to be a cobble together and to where it moves in the yard. So it's doable. I think it'd be pretty cool. It definitely makes some pretty cool YouTube videos. It's pretty amazing the amount of views I'm getting on this series, on this car. There's a lot of people, a lot more people interested in this than any of the other projects going on around here. So it kind of blows my mind. But I mean, if I seen this car on YouTube and somebody was trying to put it back together and get it back as one piece again, I think I would subscribe and be interested in it. You know what I mean? This thing's a challenge. This is a challenge upon challenges here, but I enjoy doing metalwork so much, and I love saving Tri-5 Chevys. So to me, it's like a double dose of goodness for me. But it's costly is the worst part, but that's why I'm trying to use as much of this used stuff as I can. And so far it's working out pretty good. It's just, it's gonna be a lot of work, you know what I mean? But you know, filling the MIG gas bottle is like 40 bucks, 35, 40 bucks. And a roll of MIG wire is not that expensive. So I mean, it's just you know, a little bit of MIG wire, MIG gas, and some grinding wheels and some Roloc discs, and just some little bit of love go a long way. But you know, this car, I'm going to be changing the entire cowl on it, but I don't need to do that right now. You know, that'll be something I can do later, because the car is going to get restored later. But you know, when I actually fully get in on my wife's car, I mean, that is probably realistically going to be probably a 2-year project minimum. It may not be that long, but it may be longer, it may be shorter, I don't know. But it's going to be a big project, and I know I'm going to get tired of working on it. I want something else to play with, so when I get burnt out on it, I'll have something else that I can drive around here and work on. So that's the idea. Hopefully you guys are on board. If not, I don't know what to tell you, but that's kind of the new plan. But this weekend, I'm definitely working on the car, that car for Saturday and Sunday, unless I get rained out. I just don't know if I'm going to go ahead and start working on the chassis from the 4-door, set the engine mounts and crossmember stuff up in it, or if I'm going to do more rust repair on this quarter panel stuff over here. Just depends. But anyway, hopefully you'll watch the videos. Thanks for watching.